My name is Sophia Rossi, and at 41 years old, I've finally stopped begging for approval from the people who call themselves my family. The realization didn't come in a dramatic moment with slammed doors or tearful goodbyes. It arrived quietly, settling into my bones one Tuesday morning as I traced a delicate fern pattern onto a client's shoulder blade. I stand in my Portland, Oregon studio now, verdant heart, surrounded by the life I built without them. Sunlight pours through floor to ceiling windows, casting prism rainbows across my sketches. My teal hair, a rebellious streak I never outgrew, catches the light as I lean over my workstation, arranging inks. Botanical designs cover the walls. My signature style that has earned me both a national reputation and a 6-month waiting list. Delicate ferns unfurl across canvases, wild roses climb imaginary trellises, and forgotten woodland plants find immortality in my art. My fingers, stained with traces of ink that never fully wash away, tap my appointment book. It has been over 20 years since I traded Connecticut's suffocating perfection for the embracing wilderness of the West Coast. 20 years since I stopped trying to fit the Warren family mold and started carving my own. The contrast between my vibrant, sun-drenched workspace and the rigid household that shaped my childhood couldn't be more striking. Back in Ridgefield, Connecticut, the four-bedroom colonial that housed the Warren family stood as a monument to flawless respectability. The lawn was meticulously manicured, the hedges trimmed to identical, severe heights, and the flower beds bloomed only in coordinated colors approved by the neighborhood association. Nothing grew wild there. Nothing was allowed to. My father, Arthur Warren, built his tax attorney practice on reputation and appearances. His tailored suits matched the polished veneer of his public persona. His handshake closed million-dollar deals with families who trusted his perfectly calmed salt and pepper hair and steady, unflinching gaze. At the dinner table, he dispensed wisdom about the importance of what other people think as if it were scripture. Reputation is currency, Sophia, he would say, cutting his steak into precise, identical squares. And the Warren name is worth its weight in gold. My mother, Caroline, chaired 3 church committees and orchestrated the annual charity gala. Her calendar was a fortress of social obligations, each one carefully selected to maintain or elevate our family's standing. She moved through rooms with a practiced, airy grace, her pearl necklace bouncing slightly against her collarbones as she laughed at jokes that weren't funny, told by people she secretly despised. Appearances matter, Sophia, she whispered once, pinching my arm at a garden party, when I'd reached for a second cookie. People are watching. People are watching. That was the anthem of my childhood. My brothers completed the perfect family portrait. Ethan and Leo, the golden sons, with Ivy League futures mapped out from their cradles. Ethan, the debate champion, headed to Yale for pre-law. Leo, the math prodigy, collected academic scholarships like trophies, and landed at Harvard Business School. Their achievements adorned the living room mantel, and fueled my father's boasting at the country club. I was the smudge on an otherwise pristine canvas. I was the daughter who asked too many questions, the one who colored outside the lines, literally and figuratively, while my mother selected my dresses for Sunday service, and my father mapped my path to an acceptable college like Wellesley. I was dreaming in colors they couldn't name and would never approve of. The Warren family lived by an unwritten code. What will people think? That question echoed through our pristine hallways, bouncing off walls where dust was never allowed to settle. The first time I truly understood my place in this hierarchy, I was 16. I'd spent 6 months, in secret, on a single painting. It was a self-portrait, but not a flattering one. It was raw, emotional, my face emerging from a tangle of thorns and briars. A single, small bird perched on my shoulder, its beak open in a silent scream. I called it Saged. I submitted it to the state-wide student art competition. And I won. I came home, clutching the blue ribbon and the letter from the governor. I was trembling, vibrating with a pride I had never felt before. I won. I announced at the dinner table. The state competition. It's going to be in the Capitol Gallery for a month. The reaction was not what I'd hoped for. My mother took the letter, her smile tightening at the corners. Oh, Sophia, that's nice. Let me see, my father said, taking the letter. He read it, then looked at the photo of my painting that was included. His expression shifted from distraction to disgust in the space of a heartbeat. This is what you're showing people. It, it won, Dad, first place. It's dark, Sophia, he said, his voice cold. It's unsettling. What are people going to think? What does this say about our family, that we're troubled? It's just art, I pleaded. It's honest. Honesty is for the diary, not for public display. My mother interjected, her voice low. The Hendersons' daughter won last year for a lovely landscape. A sailboat. Why couldn't you paint a sailboat? They didn't come to the gallery opening. They told their friends I was under the weather. I stood alone in Hartford, next to my painting, wearing my new dress, as other families took photos and celebrated their children. My father, instead, took Ethan and Leo to a Yale alumni dinner that same night. I stood frozen in that gallery, the weight of their words, their shame, settling over me like a shroud. It wasn't just the disappointment. It was the casual, effortless ease with which I'd been erased, all to maintain the family image. Later, I looked at the photos from the alumni dinner my mother posted. They were all laughing. My father's hand on Ethan's shoulder. They looked perfect. They looked complete, even, or perhaps especially, without me. I pressed my palm against the cool glass of my window that night, watching my own reflection. I realized then that their love came with conditions I could never satisfy. Their family was a performance, and I was a bad actor. Does this story feel familiar? So many of us, especially as we get older, look back and realize the people who were supposed to love us unconditionally were the ones who demanded the most conditions. If you've ever felt like the black sheep, or the different one, please click that like button. It helps to know these stories are being heard. And please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss what happens next. The first sketchbook I ever bought myself was a cheap, spiral-bound thing from the drugstore, purchased with birthday money from my grandmother. I hid it between my mattress and my box spring, pulling it out only when my bedroom door was locked, and the house had settled into its evening quiet. At 17, my fingers constantly bore the evidence of my secret life. Graphite smudges under my nails, flecks of oil paint that wouldn't wash away, calluses from gripping pencils too tightly. For heaven's sake, Sophia, my mother said at dinner, her eyebrows arching. Your hands look filthy. What will Pastor Mitchell think if he sees you like this at youth group? She passed me a napkin with 2 fingers, as if my smudges might transfer. I didn't answer. I just scrubbed at the blue pastel dust embedded in my skin, until it was red and raw. What I couldn't explain was that those marks were my badges of honor. They were the only conversations where I truly spoke my mind. My voice had been systematically silenced at the Warren dinner table. Every opinion was appropriate or unnecessarily contrary. Every question was met with my father's signature phrase, "That is not up for discussion." So, I learned to speak through lines and colors. My drawings became the sentences I couldn't say aloud. In my room, I created entire universes. Portraits of women with fierce, knowing eyes and untamed hair, abstracts that captured the tornado of emotions swirling in my chest. Each page was a tiny revolution, happening right under my parents' roof. The summer before my senior year, I discovered an online art forum. Trembling, I scanned and uploaded my first drawing, that same self-portrait, Saged. I went to bed, sick with nerves. I woke up at 3 a.m. and checked the site. There were comments. Dozens of them, from strangers all over the world. This speaks to me. Your line work is incredible. I feel this in my soul. Thank you for sharing. I pressed my palm against my mouth to keep from crying out. For the first time in my life, I felt seen. Not as the proper Warren daughter, but as the real Sophia, wild and yearning and bursting with things to say. Art wasn't just my hobby, it became my identity. The college conversation began exactly as I expected. Father placed a Wellesley brochure by my plate. I've spoken with William Harrison, he announced. He's assured me they'll look favorably on your application. Economics would be perfect for you, Sophia, mother beamed. My brothers exchanged knowing glances. The family machine was operating precisely as designed. What they didn't know was that I'd already applied to 7 art schools. That I'd been selling digital illustrations online for a year, building a modest savings account under my own name. That my portfolio had been praised by working artists. The acceptance letter from the Rhode Island School of Design arrived on a Tuesday in April. I got it from the mailbox before anyone else. Not just accepted. A 75% scholarship. I waited until Friday, when my father was pleased about winning a complex tax case. I placed the letter on the dining table. His face transitioned from confusion to anger. What is this nonsense? My college acceptance, I replied, my voice steady. I start in September. Hi, San Francisco. Mother snatched the letter. Art school. We already discussed your future. Wellesley. I never submitted the application, I interrupted. I won't be needing it. The explosion was nuclear. My father's voice raised to a level that made the windows rattle. My mother's tearful accusations of betrayal. But I remained strangely calm. Their words, once so powerful, now bounced off the armor I'd built through years of secret validation. The next morning, I bought a one-way bus ticket to Providence. The journey would take 6 hours. I packed one suitcase and my portfolio. No dramatic goodbyes. Father had left for work without a word. Mother remained in her room with a headache. I paused at the end of the driveway, looking back at the perfect colonial house. The symmetrical windows stared back, blankly. The bus rumbled away, carrying me toward a future I'd designed myself. The tightness in my chest began to ease. For the first time, I'd chosen art over approval. The road ahead was uncertain, but it was mine. San Francisco, no, Providence, welcomed me. The fog rolling in felt like an embrace. Professors with full-sleeve tattoos lectured on classical techniques. You're holding back, my professor, Dr. Alastair, said, tapping my sketchbook. These are technically skilled, but where are you? My roommate Chloe dragged me to a tattoo shop. Time for your art school baptism, she declared. What do you want? Asked the artist, a woman with silver hair cropped on one side. I unfolded a design I'd sketched for weeks. A single stem of foxglove, unfurling up my inner forearm. These flowers are poisonous, I explained, but they're also medicine, in the right dose. She smiled. I know exactly what you mean. The needle's sting was a reclamation. My body, my choice, my permanent declaration of independence. The floodgates opened. My art bloomed. Nightshade, hellebore, plants with dual natures, like mine. Portland called to me after graduation. A city where wilderness crept up to the urban boundaries. Verdant Heart Studio had an apprenticeship opening. The owner, Maya, examined my portfolio. Your line work is exceptional. The way you understand how plants grow, that can't be taught. You already understand how skin becomes canvas. The rest I can teach you. My apprenticeship was long hours and low pay. But I was absorbing everything. And I was listening. Each client brought a story. The woman covering self-harm scars with cosmos. The breast cancer survivor reclaiming her chest with cherry blossoms. The widower incorporating his wife's handwriting into a memorial piece. I was creating a safe space for their vulnerability, something I'd never been offered. 4 years in, Maya called me into her office. I'm opening a second location. I need a partner I trust at the original shop. At 25, I became co-owner of a respected studio. That day, I called home. I've become part owner of a business, I told my mother. Her voice brightened. Oh, what kind? A gallery, a design firm, a tattoo studio, Mom. The silence was cold. Oh, she said. Well, I trust you're being safe. Your father will be so pleased you've found a sensible path. Maybe you can finally use that hobby for greeting cards. I let her believe what she needed to believe. Then came the ivory envelope. My brother Ethan's wedding. A handwritten note slipped out. Sophia, we do hope you'll join us. Please wear neutral colors. Long sleeves are preferred. My heart ached. 6 years of building my life, and I was still just an embarrassment to be hidden. What will you do? Maya asked. I booked the flight. I packed a vintage silver sequin dress. I wore a sweater for the ceremony but took it off at the reception. My mother's tight smile said it all. Sophia, we've arranged your seating in the back. For photos, I was positioned behind a tall cousin, where I could be cropped out. I was introduced as our daughter who lives in Oregon. The pattern was clear. Acceptance would always require me to be smaller. On the flight back to Portland, I made a promise. The next celebration would be on my terms. A year later, another invitation. My brother Leo, the Four Seasons Boston, a small card fell out. The venue maintains a strict dress code. No visible tattoos permitted. Please plan accordingly. My phone buzzed. Leo, did you get it? Mom insisted on that note. I won't be attending, Leo, I typed back. Congratulations, he called immediately. Sophia, come on, it's my wedding. I understand. And it's a venue with rules that don't accommodate me. You could cover up. For one day. For family. I looked at the wildflowers blooming up my arm. each one a milestone. That's not something I'm willing to do anymore. The invitations dwindled after that. Thanksgiving, Dad's retirement party. I was being edited out of the family narrative. When I saw Facebook photos from a surprise anniversary party I hadn't even known about, I realized I hadn't just been rejected. I had ceased to exist. The final blow came from my Aunt Clara. Sophia, honey, about your cousin Emily's wedding. The thing is, they're worried you might influence the younger guests. Your lifestyle. The in-laws are very traditional. Everyone thought it might be best if I didn't come. I finished for her. We all love you, of course, she added quickly. You know what, Aunt Clara? I said, watching a client leave my studio, smiling at her new tattoo in the window. You can all stop worrying. I won't be attending any more family events. Ever. I hung up. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as contamination. That evening, I wrote one final email to my parents. No begging, no explaining. Just a statement that I was closing this chapter of endless rejection. The reply came 3 days later, from my father. 6 words. We think that's for the best. Something snapped. Not pain, relief. Like setting down a heavy burden I'd carried for decades. I was finally officially free. I was 28 years old and my life was about to begin. Portland embraced me, my chosen family. Chloe, a violinist with silver-streaked hair. Mark, a poet with scared, kind hands. Sarah, an installation artist. None of them demanded explanations. Thanksgiving, I braced for the H of exclusion. Instead, Chloe texted, "Orphan Thanksgiving at my place. 7 p.m., bring whatever." 20 people crowded into her loft. Mark brought 3 free pies. Sarah built a turkey from salvaged metal that became the centerpiece. We laughed until we cried. I looked at these people, with their colored hair and tattooed skin, their loudness and their tenderness, their complete acceptance of each other's broken parts. This was family. No one asked me to be smaller. Christmas, we created new traditions. A tree decorated with art, a gift exchange of handmade things. They celebrated the very parts of me my biological family tried to erase. Family isn't inherited. It's built. It's chosen. And I chose them. I met him on a rainy Thursday at a gallery showcase. I was standing by my piece, an intricate back design on canvas. The texture here is remarkable, a man's voice said. I turned. He was tall, with a camera slung across his chest and raindrops clinging to his dark curls. You've captured something raw and honest. That's rare. He wasn't performing. He was seeing. I'm Miles, he offered. I document counterculture movements. Sophia, I replied. I put permanent art on people who want their outsides to match their insides. His laugh was warm and unguarded. That might be the best description of tattooing I've ever heard. We talked for hours, long after the gallery closed, in a small cafe. He told me about his work, documenting communities that existed outside the mainstream. I told him about my journey. Family, he asked. I built my own, I answered honestly. Blood relatives are back east, wondering where they went wrong. He nodded. Chosen families are often more nurturing than biological accidents. When he walked me to my car, he gently traced the foxglove on my forearm. You know what I find compelling about your work? Your skin tells stories most people spend a lifetime hiding. There's courage in that kind of transparency. He didn't just admire my art, he understood the purpose behind it. Our relationship blossomed. He photographed my sessions. I designed a logo for his exhibition. We created, naturally, without friction. When I invited him to my studio's 5th anniversary, he arrived early to help and stayed late to wash ink cups. He fits, my partner, Maya, observed. He just belongs here. It was true. My chosen family embraced him. The contrast with my biological family's historical rejection was stark. For our 1-year anniversary, Miles took me to the Oregon coast. We rented a small cottage. After a day exploring tidal pools, we watched the sunset. He seemed uncharacteristically nervous. I have something for you, he said. He pulled a small hand-carved wooden box from his pocket. My heart stuttered. Inside, nested on velvet, was a silver ring. It was carved in the shape of a single wildflower pushing up through cracked concrete. It was the image of my second tattoo, the one I designed at 19, marking my decision to leave Connecticut for good. The first time you showed me this, Miles said, his voice steady. You told me it represented resilience, beauty emerging from hardship. I nodded, words failing me. That's what I see in you, every day, he continued. Not despite your past, but because of how you've grown through it. I want to spend my life loving your authentic self, Sophia. Every story, every scar, every line. He took the ring. Will you marry me? The weight of a lifetime spent seeking approval from people who would never give it. It just evaporated. Here was a man who saw me, completely, and offered not just acceptance, but celebration. Yes, I whispered. Then louder, less. As he slid the ring onto my finger, I realized I'd finally found what my biological family could never provide. Unconditional love. We stayed wrapped together under the starlight, planning a future built on mutual respect, creative partnership, and a love that didn't require hiding. My engagement to Miles wasn't planned with Pinterest boards. It happened on a random Tuesday, when we realized we'd built something we didn't want to live without. The moment he slid that vintage emerald ring on my finger, I knew two things. I wanted to spend my life with him, and telling my family would be the final test. Are you sure you want to tell them? Miles asked. We could just send an announcement after. I shook my head. One last chance. I need to give them one more opportunity to actually see me. I crafted the email with coffee, steadied hands, simple facts. Miles and I are engaged. We're planning a small ceremony in Portland in October. We'd love for you to be part of this. My finger hovered over the send button. A dangerous ember of hope flickered. Maybe a wedding will matter enough for them to try. My mother's response arrived within hours. We would, of course, like to meet this young man before giving our blessing. Perhaps you could both visit Ridgefield soon. My father's addition came at the bottom. Congratulations. Will you be toning down your appearance for the photos? I stared at the screen. Nothing had changed. They still saw me as something to fix. They want to meet you, I told Miles, passing him the tablet. To evaluate you. His jaw tightened at my father's question. And what do you want, Sophia? The pressure mounted. Mother called with suggestions about appropriate wedding attires, pale colors, high necklines. Father emailed information about a photographer cousin who specialized in classic portraits. We'd be happy to contribute financially, Mother mentioned, her voice honeyed with control. Of course, that would mean accommodating certain family traditions. When they requested we fly to Connecticut so they could properly assess Miles, the thinly veiled judgment became impossible to ignore. They're treating this like I'm applying for a job, Miles said, watching me pace. They'll pick you apart, I said. Your clothes, your work, your tattoos. They'll smile politely while deciding you're not good enough. I can handle scrutiny, he said softly. But this isn't about me. This is your decision. I stopped pacing. They've never seen me. Not once. Then maybe, he suggested. They don't deserve front row seats for the rest of your life. The truth landed with stunning clarity. They wouldn't be invited. This wasn't revenge. It was self-protection. The final boundary. I don't want them there, I said, the words bringing immediate, shocking relief. I don't want to spend my wedding day waiting for their approval or bracing for their criticism. Miles crossed the room and took my hands. Then we build this day our way. Our wedding planning transformed. Instead of navigating family politics, we chose wildflowers. Our venue, the rooftop garden of our favorite local restaurant, an urban botanical paradise. Our ceremony, readings from books that shaped us, vows we wrote together. What about your parents? My friend Julia asked. Will you regret it? I've spent years regretting not having the parents I needed, I said. I'm done with that. My chosen family rallied. My partner, Maya, offered to officiate. My friend Mark, the poet, offered to walk me down the aisle. Miles's parents called to tell me they were honored. To welcome me, tattoos, teal hair, and all. The wedding transformed from a potential battlefield into a symbol of my liberation. It wasn't a day marked by who was missing, but by who had chosen to be present. My name is Sophia Rossi, and today I marry the man who loves me exactly as I am. The converted warehouse overlooking the Willamette River glows with string lights. October in Portland brings a crisp breeze that carries the scent of fallen leaves and possibility. You ready? Maya asks, adjusting the final wildflower in my loose braid. I turn to the mirror. The woman staring back hardly resembles the girl who hid sketchbooks under her mattress. My teal hair cascades over bare shoulders. The silk of my open-backed gown reveals the spine tattoo I designed myself. My story, in ink, flowing down my vertebrae like a climbing vine. More than ready, I say. The music shifts. An acoustic guitar version of a song Miles and I both love. I walk the aisle alone, by choice. Not because no one is here to give me away, but because I have spent years reclaiming myself. The faces that turn to watch belong to my chosen family. Artists, clients, friends. Miles waits for me under an arch of paper cranes and copper sculptures our friends made. His eyes, when they meet mine, are already full. "You are everything," he whispers as I reach him. Our efficient Maya smiles. We gather today not to witness the beginning of a relationship, but to recognize a bond that already exists. This ceremony is a public declaration of a private devotion Sophia and Miles have built through creativity, honesty, and the courage to be fully themselves. Our vows contain no promises of obedience. We pledge acceptance, authenticity, and freedom. "I promise to never ask you to shrink yourself for my comfort," Miles says, his voice steady despite the tears. "Your wildness is why I fell in love with you." When I speak, my voice is clear. I promise to stand beside you, never behind you. I choose you with open eyes and a full heart, not because you complete me, but because you celebrate my completeness. Laughter punctuates the ceremony. As we kiss, cheers erupt. This is what belonging feels like. The reception is a celebration, not a performance. No assigned seating. Food stations from our favorite local restaurants. Against one wall, a local artist friend, Ben, has set up a vow tree. Guests are writing well wishes on paper leaves and hanging them from the branches. The other wall showcases Miles's photography, his professional work, urban landscapes, portraits of artists. And in the center, my portrait. Back to the camera, my spine tattoo visible. My face turned just enough to show my profile, illuminated by golden light. "You've created something remarkable here," Mark, the poet, says, appearing at my elbow. And I don't just mean the marriage. As the night deepens, Miles finds me by the dessert table. "How does it feel to be Mrs. Anderson?" he murmurs. I turn in his embrace. "Actually, I'm still Sophia Rossi. And you're still Miles Anderson. Two whole people who chose each other." His smile widens. "I wouldn't have it any other way." 2 weeks later, the doorbell rings. I open it and the past is standing on my welcome mat. My father, Arthur, looking older. My mother, Caroline, clutching her handbag, pearls in place. Behind them, Ethan and Leo, hovering awkwardly. "Sophia," my father says. Miles steps to my side, his hand finding the small of my back. "May we come in?" my mother asks, her voice brittle. I nod, and they file into our living room, looking out of place among our eclectic furniture and art. "Why are you here?" I ask. My father clears his throat. "When we received this." He holds up a newspaper clipping. The Oregonian Society page, featuring a photo from our wedding. "Congratulations," Leo offers weakly. "We came to discuss your behavior," my father continues. "Do you understand how humiliating it was to learn of your wedding from strangers? To have people asking us why we weren't there?" My mother leans forward. "The Hendersons' daughter saw it online. She asked me about it at my charity luncheon. She speaks as if this is the ultimate, unforgivable sin." "Did you expect an invitation?" I ask, genuinely curious. "We are your family," my mother says, as if the word itself is an irrefutable claim. "Are you?" Miles asks quietly. I squeeze his hand. "Do you know how embarrassing it is?" My mother continues, her voice rising. "To have a daughter who looks like you. Who lives like this. Who excludes her own family from her wedding." The words hang in the air, crystallizing 30 years of conditional love into one clarifying moment. "Thank you," I say, surprising everyone, including myself. "Excuse me?" my father says. "Thank you," I repeat, for confirming what I always knew. "You're not upset about missing my wedding. You're upset that people know you missed it." I stand and Miles rises with me. We move to the door, opening it. "I have built a life surrounded by people who love me for who I am," I tell them. "That is something worth celebrating. I think it's time for you to leave." They leave with stiff backs and tight lips. The door closes on 30 years of conditional love, with a soft click that sounds like freedom. Miles pulls me into his arms. "You okay?" I press my forehead to his shoulder and breathe. "Yes," I say. "I finally am." My tattoo needle hums against Parker's skin. She's 39, and this is her first tattoo, a butterfly emerging from shattered glass. "My mother told me tattoos were for people with no future," she whispers. I believed her for 20 years. I nod. "Mine said they were for people with nothing to lose." "And here we are," Parker laughs. "Turns out they were wrong." 3 months have passed. My studio, Verdant Heart, has become a sanctuary for first-timers like Parker. People healing from body shame, from families who taught them their bodies weren't their own. I've transformed my understanding into a purpose. Later, my phone buzzes. A text from a number I still recognize. Leo, can we talk? Coffee sometime. I show Miles. What do you want to do? He asks. I don't know. I admit. I'm curious. 3 days later, I'm sitting across from Leo. He looks older. Jenny's pregnant, he says. It's making me think. About family. About what kind I want to create. He looks up. I'm sorry, Sophia. For not standing up for you. For prioritizing Dad's approval. For pretending not to see how much they hurt you. His apology isn't perfect, but it's genuine. I'm not asking for forgiveness, he says. I'd like to know my sister again. The real one. Not the version Dad wanted. We talk for 2 hours. I establish clear boundaries. No criticism. No expectations. I'm not seeking validation anymore, Leo. I'm open to reconnection, but only on authentic terms. He nods. I think that's fair. He hesitates. Dad and Ethan, they might never come around. I know, I say, surprised by how little that hurts. That's their choice. The wedding invitation arrives in the spring. My cousin Emily. Inside, a personal note. Sophia, I want you there exactly as you are, teal hair, tattoos, and all. You've always been braver than the rest of us. Love, M. Are you going? Miles asks. I think so, I say. We arrive at the church. My hair is freshly dyed. Miles's hand is on my back. The reactions are what I expect. Aunt Catherine's shocked gasp. Uncle Mark's stiff nod. My parents near the front, rigid, not turning. But there are surprises. Cousin Matthew embraces me warmly. About time you came back. And Emily, rushing over in her gown. Thank you for coming. It means everything. I realize what this is. Not a battlefield. Just a gathering. Some will never accept me. Others are trying. The difference now. Neither reaction defines me. During the reception, I catch my mother watching me. For a moment, regret flashes across her face. We don't speak. But Leo introduces his wife, Jenny, to me with pride. This is my sister, Sophia, he says. She's an artist. And the title carries no mockery. Driving home, I rest my head against the window. I don't need them to love me anymore. I tell Miles. I'm no longer defined by their exclusion. 6 months later, Verdant Heart is thriving. We've established the Verdant Scholarship for art students estranged from their families. This morning, a new client sits nervously in my chair. She's in her 50s, recently divorced. I don't know if I'm brave enough for this. She confesses, showing me a small butterfly design. Have you ever had to choose between peace and approval? I ask gently. Her eyes meet mine. Every day of my life, she answers. Then you're already brave enough, I tell her, preparing my tools. Let's begin. Thank you for listening to my story. The lesson I learned, the hard, slow way, is that you cannot force people to see you. You cannot make them value you. True family isn't just DNA. It's the people who never, ever ask you to shrink, who never demand you hide who you are in exchange for their love. Have you ever felt like you had to choose between being your authentic self and belonging to your family? How did you navigate that? Please share your own stories of strength and what family means to you in the comments section below. And if this story resonated with you, and you believe in the power of building your own life, please click that like button, share this video, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next story.